Hey, it's your host, Skeptical Scott.
And I am this week's co-host, Artie Fisher.
Welcome to Funny You Say That. The Heathen. There and back again. If you've ever rethought what you were taught and said, I don't know about that, then this show's for you. So please join us as we drop the supernatural, embrace the rational, and believe in as many true things as possible.
Hey Scott, what's the title of today's episode?
I love you, I swear. Let's get married. There are many times we swear. No, I'm not talking about cussing. Swear to God. Isn't that what many of us grew up saying when trying to convince somebody that what we said is true? And I'm curious, what's more powerful? A pinky swear? A swear on our mother's grave?
I love you, my sweet, sweet child.
Or a swear to God? Does anybody else find it ironic in court when people swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth on a holy book? Or how about when elected officials swear by swearing in on a holy book? I'm calling the dubious book holy because it's full of holes. I think it's a two-way practice. Dear Bible, I swear on you, in front of all these people, please help me appear more legitimate as a truthful leader, and in return, I'll make you appear more legitimate as a truthful book. Let's shake hands. Well, we can talk about that on later episodes. Anyway, swearing to God seems to be for those important moments, like weddings.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
What is one of the most common Bible verses at a wedding? I can tell you because it was in mine. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Artie?
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails.
As my dad might say, hey, that's some good shit.
Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream.
Today's episode surrounds my descent into the Christian worldview. I'm calling it a descent because I buckled down. I started to take religion seriously. Something about leaving college life and marrying my wife. It was time for some adulting, to be the best husband, the best teacher, and eventually the best father I could be. That must mean being godly or something, right? So, that means a visit to the pastor. Since I didn't really have a home church, we drove a couple hours to my wife's hometown and invited her pastor to marry us the following summer. And guess what? He said yes. Of course, there was planning to do, Bible verses and music to select, and we decided to do a couple sessions with the pastor for premarital counseling. Here's what I remember. We each filled out a document with questions about how we felt about certain topics like family, the in-laws, spiritual beliefs, finances, and more. Then we each compared our notes with the pastor, and it was pretty conversational. But I must admit, when I heard the term counseling and premarital counseling, I took it to heart. I started to reveal some pretty personal things about my upbringing, but realized pretty quickly when seeing the body language of both my wife and pastor that this was not really the time to get deep. Let's just check the boxes and then we can get to this wedding.
Then love true love will follow you forever.
It wasn't a bad experience or anything, this premarital counseling stuff, but from what I've heard from others, premarital counseling doesn't always go smoothly. Here are some actual responses from Christians about the advice they received from their pastors. For the men, man up. And remember, marriage is where you carry your cross. Women want to be led. You are the spiritual leader of your home, and you are ultimately responsible for your wife's spiritual state. After all, Eve ate the apple while Adam just passively stood by. You must love your wife as God loves his bride, the church. Let's remember that Christ let his bride murder him on the cross, so love her through any abuse as Christ loved those who did not know what they were doing.
And do you, Princess Barrois,
Man and wife. Say man and wife.
man and wife?
And for the ladies, please remember, Artie, I think you should probably read these.
Suffering in a marriage is a Christian calling. Marriage is supposed to be hard. It's a constant dying to yourself. As with any other cross, bear your marriage faithfully as a gift from the Father. Submit to your husband, even as he makes bad decisions, because God will use his mistakes. Remember the 72-hour rule. Men have higher sex drives and need it more than women. As it says in 1 Corinthians 7, verse 4, do not deny your body to your husband. Your body belongs to him. His body belongs to you. Ladies, if he's not getting steak at home in the bedroom, he'll go looking for ground beef somewhere else.
Now, certainly, there are a few nuggets of truth that we can dig from the advice we just heard. Don't be a selfish jerk. Don't be too passive either. But as with anything, humans take the advice and have a variance on interpretations. For some, they weaponize Bible verses to get what they want out of the deal. Perhaps instead of swearing to God in front of the audience that we'll take care of our partner, we can sing. We can sing, I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there for better or worse till death do us part. Actually, no. No, don't do that. Marriage has changed a lot since these Bible verses were written. Back then, women were seen as property. They did not have individual rights, including the right to divorce. Women were much more dependent on men back then. It truly was a risk to your life to not be married. So, should we bring that built-in desperation into our modern marriages? But yes, the fantastic day arrived, and my wife and I were married in the year of our millennium 2000. It really was a fantastic day. The pastor did a great job, and I swore to God in front of everyone that I'd be the spiritual leader. I chose my spiritual college roommate that I talked about last episode to read the verses from 1 Corinthians 13, and he read it with passion and authority. Thank you, Eddie. In response to that calling to step it up, I swore some more. I swore to God when I became an official member of a church for the first time, and I swore to God when we adopted my son through a Christian adoption agency. I swore to God again at my son's baptism, and I swore at other prayer groups, couples retreats, men's retreats, and other holy settings. I began to read a lot. Yes, the Bible, but also devotionals and even some fiction, like the Left Behind series. More about those in future episodes, but for now, it's that time again for the Skeptic of the Show.
We think it's real important to question what you know. But before you leave this podcast, it's the Skeptic of the Show.
Today's skeptic comes from a person named Ann1707. She had posted a question in a forum called Love Shack. Do atheists care about marriage? I know I do. And in response, a Christian had stated, I guess you really shouldn't care about marriage or what is wrong, or infidelity for that matter. Where does your value system come from? By the way, marriage in our society stems from a religious mandate. Artie will read Anne's response.
As an atheist, I find your viewpoint just completely at odds with mine. It implies that my vows mean nothing to me, that fidelity is not important, and that my value system must be pretty suspect. It implies to me that the only proper marriage is a Christian one, and that anything outside that is fake. However, my marriage is incredibly important to me. My husband and the life we have together, the commitment we have made to each other through our non-Christian vows, is right at the heart of who I am. I know more than most how infidelity is wrong and beyond damaging. I also reckon I have a pretty good value system, which does not have to be born out of religious doctrine for it to be valid, sound, and balanced.
Thank you, Anne. And I'd argue that your commitment to one person means just as much as it does for a Christian commitment to a spouse, perhaps more even, since you have thought through your own value system versus inheriting one from a religious dogma. You do not need a religious mandate to make a promise in a monogamous relationship. Was premarital counseling necessary for my marriage of almost 25 years? No. I mean, we did it because that's what we thought we had to do, right? The truth is, atheists and agnostics have lower divorce rates compared to other religious groups, especially evangelical Christians. This could be because atheists tend to often marry later. Let us also remember, according to a current religious leader of over 20 years, most pastors do not have the training for marriage counseling beyond their lived experience. Seminaries do not train pastors on how to guide couples in budgeting, raising kids, sex, the list goes on and on. They are trained on inherited theology and ethics. They offer advice, not the gospel truth.
She wore a cross, he didn't believe it. Found common ground, hard on the sleeve. Love broke barriers, faith took a chance. Danced through the years, oh what a romance.
Hey, we're glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Our intro music was created by an anonymous supporter of the show. Any other music or sound effects are provided by this week's co-host, Artie Fisher.
Have a question? Interested in being a guest on our show or sharing a part of your personal questionnaire? Email us at HeySkepticalScott@gmail.com. You can also find Skeptical Scott on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok.
Drop the supernatural, embrace the rational, believe in as many true things as possible.
Otherwise, you may end up believing in something that is even more artificial than me.
May skeptical thoughts be with you.
And also with you.
See you next time on A Funny You See That Friday. Cheers.